Admiral Kim Do stood on the bridge of his new flagship, staring at the holographic map of human space. Red lines marked the boundaries that the Council had drawn 50 years ago. Beyond those lines, humans were not supposed to go without permission. Today, Kim Do was erasing those lines forever. Admiral, his communications officer said, "We're receiving surrender requests from 12 Vex outposts. They want to negotiate." "No negotiations," Kim Do replied. "The Vex killed 200,000 humans on New Busan. They can surrender unconditionally or they can die." The Human Protection Zone was Kim Do's answer to 50 years of Council control. Every human world, every trade route, every system with human civilians was now under direct human military protection. Any non-human military vessel that entered without permission would be destroyed without warning. The Council had responded with threats and demands. Kim Do had responded by destroying 2 Council enforcement fleets that tried to cross into human space. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "Council ships are massing at the border. They're calling it a peacekeeping force." Kim Do studied the display. 40 Council ships, including some of their largest battleships. It was meant to intimidate humans back into obedience. "Signal the fleet," Kim Do ordered. "All ships to intercept positions. Today we show the galaxy that the age of Council dominance is over." Colonel Jiang Yu was in her office on Mars, writing the manual that would change galactic warfare forever. For decades, human military thinking had been shaped by Council doctrine. Slow, predictable, focused on minimizing casualties over achieving victory. Now Jiang Yu was creating something entirely new. Human battle tactics that use speed, flexibility, and aggressive thinking to overwhelm enemies before they could react. "The Thek fight in formation," she wrote. "They move slowly and fire in coordinated volleys. Their weakness is their predictability. Hit them from unexpected angles and they cannot adapt quickly enough. The Moor use swarm tactics with small ships. They rely on numbers and coordination. Their weakness is their communication system. Jam their signals and they become confused. The Vex are aggressive but simple. They charge forward and try to overwhelm through sheer force. Their weakness is their lack of tactical flexibility. Lead them into ambushes and they will follow blindly." Each section of the manual was tested immediately in battle. Human fleets were pushing into enemy territory across the galaxy, and every engagement provided new data for Yang Yu's growing understanding of alien military thinking. The results were devastating for humanity's enemies. Species that had fought the Council to standstills for years were being completely defeated by human forces in weeks. Engineer Baesuk was working around the clock to retrofit human ships with the technology that had been hidden for decades. The improvements were remarkable. Human vessels that had been considered adequate by Council standards were becoming the most advanced ships in the galaxy. The jump drives are running at 300% of Council-approved efficiency, Baesuk reported to Admiral Kim Do. "We can travel 3 times faster than any alien ship. Weapons, energy output is up 400%. The new fusion cannons can punch through Council battleship armor like it's made of tin foil. Shields, strong enough to survive direct hits from anything in the alien fleets. And the power systems are so efficient that we can keep fighting long after enemy ships have exhausted their energy reserves." Kim Do nodded with satisfaction. "How long until every ship in the fleet is upgraded?" 2 weeks, sir. Maybe less if the shipyards keep working at current pace." The shipyards were indeed working at an incredible pace. Human industrial capacity had been deliberately limited by the Council, who claimed that rapid expansion was environmentally dangerous. Now that those limits were gone, human manufacturing was exploding across the galaxy. New warships were being completed every day. Not just simple vessels, but advanced battleships designed specifically to counter alien weaknesses that Jiang Yu's manual had identified. Captain Lee, Bin was leading one of the new fleets against a Vex stronghold when he encountered something unexpected. A group of alien ships that did not attack immediately. Instead, they transmitted a message. "Human fleet, this is Captain Zeph of the Moor Resistance. We request permission to join your attack." Li Bin was surprised. The Moor were one of the Council's founding species. Why were they talking about resistance? "Explain," Li Bin transmitted back. "The Council has oppressed my people for generations. We have seen how humans fight for justice, not just for conquest. We wish to stand with you against the Council that enslaves us all." It was the first crack in the Council's unity, but it would not be the last. Word of the more resistance spread quickly across the galaxy. Other species began to question why they were fighting to preserve a system that kept them weak and dependent. The aquatic kelp sent secret messages to human commanders. The crystalline quartz began sabotaging Council supply lines. The Council had always maintained control by keeping different species separated and suspicious of each other. Now humans were offering something the Council never had: alliance between equals rather than submission to masters. Admiral Kim Do received the reports with growing confidence. The Council fleet that had been assembled to intimidate humans was dissolving as species after species questioned their orders. Some ships simply left. Others openly joined the human forces. Admiral, his intelligence officer reported, the Council is recalling ships from across the galaxy. They're forming a defensive perimeter around their core worlds. Good, Kim Do said. Let them huddle in fear. We'll come for them when we're ready. But the humans were not planning a campaign of conquest. They were planning something much more dangerous to the Council's power: liberation. Captain Yoon Ki led a joint human-Moor fleet to the prison world of Kepler 9, where the Council kept political prisoners from a dozen species. The orbital defenses were formidable, but they had been designed to keep prisoners in, not to fight off military attack. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 50,000 political prisoners were free, and the galaxy had seen that humans meant what they said about liberation. This is only the beginning, Yoon Ki announced on galactic communications networks. Every species enslaved by the Council will be offered freedom. Every world oppressed by their lies will be liberated. The old order is ending. Dr. Parksol was analyzing the political situation from Earth when she realized the full scope of what was happening. This isn't just a military rebellion, she told Commander Han Wu. This is the end of the Council system itself. What do you mean? The Council maintained power by controlling information and technology. They convinced everyone that they were the most advanced species, the natural leaders. But now everyone can see that humans are more advanced. And if the Council lied about human capabilities, what else did they lie about? Han Wu understood immediately. Every species is going to start questioning Council authority. Exactly. And once that happens, the Council can't maintain control. Their power was based on respect and fear. But respect is gone, and fear only works if you're actually stronger than your enemies. The reports coming in from across the galaxy confirmed Parksol's analysis. The Crystalline Confederation had formally withdrawn from the Council. The Kelp Alliance was declaring independence. Even some Thek colonies were rebelling against their own government. The Council was not just losing a war against humanity. They were losing the entire galactic order they had spent centuries building. And in human space, the fire of liberation continued to spread. Each victory brought new allies. Each alliance made humanity stronger. Each day that passed brought the galaxy closer to a future that the Council could never have imagined. A future where humans led not through deception and control, but through the simple promise that every species deserved the truth about their own capabilities. The galaxy was learning that lesson fast. And the Council was learning that once the truth was out, there was no putting it back in the box. Commander Han Wu walked through the massive halls of Nexus Prime. The Council station was bigger than any human city. Alien beings moved around him, their strange forms casting long shadows under the bright lights. Some had 4 arms, others had skin like rocks, and a few floated in the air without touching the ground. Han Wu had been coming here for 10 years. Each time, the aliens treated him like a child who needed protection. They smiled with their many teeth and spoke in soft voices. Humans are too emotional for real war, they always said. Leave the fighting to us. You are safe with the Council. Today felt different. Han Wu carried a datapad that might change everything. Captain Li Bin had found something terrible in the wreck of an old alien ship. The files were hidden deep, but Li Bin was good with computers. What he found made Han Wu's blood run cold. The Council chambers were round and huge. 12 different alien species sat in tall chairs looking down at Han Wu. The Thek leader had gray skin and black eyes. The more representative had tentacles instead of arms. They all stared at Han Wu with the same look they always gave humans, like parents watching a slow child. Commander Han Wu, the Thek leader spoke. His voice sounded like grinding metal. We have new orders for human forces. The Vex are moving near your borders. Keep your ships defensive only. We will handle any real threats. Han Wu had heard these words 1,000 times. For 50 years, humans had been kept on the edges of every fight. They were given old weapons and told to guard empty space while aliens did the real work. The council said humans were not ready for serious war. But now Han Wu knew the truth. I have questions about our equipment, Han Wu said, holding up his data pad. Some of our ships seem to have technology that looks familiar. The aliens shifted in their seats. The Moore representative's tentacles curled tighter around his chair arms. Human technology is basic, the Thek leader said. We give you what you can handle. Nothing more. Han Wu touched his data pad. The screen showed ship designs. These are human designs from 20 years ago. But your new Thek warships have the same engines, the same weapons, even the same power systems. The chamber went quiet. Too quiet. Humans copy our designs, another alien said quickly. It is natural for younger species to learn from older ones. Han Wu smiled, but it was not a happy smile. The dates don't match. Human engineers made these designs first. Your ships came later. Back on Earth, Dr. Parksall was making her own discoveries. She worked in a lab under the city of New Seoul. Her job was to study alien technology and find ways for humans to use it better. But what she found made her hands shake with anger. Every piece of alien technology had human fingerprints on it. The power cores, the shield systems, the faster-than-light engines. Humans had invented them all. The Council had been stealing human ideas for decades, and then selling them back as gifts from advanced species. Parksall's computer showed her the real timeline. Humans had developed jump drive technology 30 years ago. The Council said it was too dangerous for humans and took it away. 2 years later, Thek ships started using the same technology. The Council called it a breakthrough in Thek science. The fusion cannons were human inventions too. So were the energy shields. Even the communication systems that let different species talk to each other. Human engineers had built the first ones. Parksall opened a secure channel to Captain Li Bin on his ship. Li Bin was floating in space near the dead alien vessel where he had found the files. Parksall, you need to see this, Li Bin said. His face on the screen looked tired and angry. I found more files. The Council has been planning this for a long time. Planning what? Parksall asked, keeping us weak. Look at this. Li Bin sent her new files. They call it Project Leash. Every time humans invent something new, the Council takes it. They give us just enough technology to stay useful, but never enough to be independent. Parksall read the files. Her face went white. They're not trying to protect us. They're trying to control us. It gets worse, Li Bin said. They've been lying about our military abilities too. Remember the war games last year? The ones where human ships always lost? Yes, the Council said our tactics were too simple. The games were rigged. The aliens knew our every move before we made them. But when we fought real battles, the small ones they let us handle, we won every time. The Council has been hiding our victories and showing us only our defeats. On Nexus Prime, Han Wu was still facing the Council. The alien leaders were getting nervous. Their voices were louder now, and some were speaking in their own languages instead of the common tongue. Commander, the Thek leader said, you are making serious accusations. Humans have always been treated fairly by the Council. Have we? Han Wu touched his datapad again. Let me share something with you. The chamber's main screen lit up. It showed battle footage from the Kepler conflict 2 years ago. Human ships moved like dancers, destroying enemy vessels with perfect timing. The footage was clear. Humans had not just won the battle, they had dominated it. The Council told our people that this battle was a defeat, Han Wu said. You said human forces needed rescue from alien ships. But this footage shows the truth. We saved you. The aliens were standing now. Some were speaking rapidly into communication devices. Others were backing toward the exits. Humans are too emotional, the Moore representative said, his tentacles waving frantically. You see conspiracies where none exist, Han Wu laughed. It was a sound full of bitter understanding. You're right about one thing. Humans are emotional, and right now I'm feeling very emotional about 50 years of lies. Han Wu pressed one more button on his datapad. Across human space, on every human world and ship, the same files were being broadcast. The stolen technology, the hidden victories, the decades of deception. For the first time in 50 years, humanity was seeing the truth about itself. And the truth was making them very angry indeed. Commander Han Wu stood before the galaxy's largest communication array. Every human world, every human ship, every human station was listening. Behind him, the evidence was displayed on massive screens, decades of lies, stolen technology, and deliberate betrayal. For 50 years, Hanwoo began, his voice carrying to billions of humans across space. We have been told we are the junior partners in this galaxy. We have been told we are too emotional, too primitive, too dangerous for real responsibility. The screens showed footage of New Busan burning while council ships waited just outside the system. They showed human inventions being used by alien fleets. They showed battle reports that had been falsified to hide human victories. Today you learn the truth. We are not the junior partners. We are not too primitive. We have been kept weak because we are strong. We have been kept ignorant because we are brilliant. We have been kept separate because together we are unstoppable. Across human space, the reaction was immediate. On Earth, crowds gathered in city squares to watch the broadcast. On Mars, factory workers stopped their machines to listen. On the outer colonies, farmers and miners put down their tools and stared at their screens in growing understanding. The Council fears us, Hanwoo continued. They fear what we can build. They fear what we can achieve. Most of all, they fear what we will do when we stop trusting them with our lives. Captain Lee Bin was already moving his ships toward Vex territory. He had waited long enough for permission. His fellow humans were dead because of Council lies. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do. The first Vex patrol he encountered was destroyed in 30 seconds. The insect ships tried to run, but human vessels were faster. They tried to fight, but human weapons were deadlier. They tried to call for help, but human jammers cut their communications. Lee Bin's tactical officer watched the enemy ships explode with satisfaction. Sir, that was almost too easy. The Vex have been fighting Council forces for years, Lee Bin explained. Council tactics are slow and predictable. They form lines, they fire in volleys, they retreat when damaged. The Vex know exactly what to expect. And we don't fight like that. No, we don't. Human ships moved like living things. They changed formation constantly, struck from unexpected angles, and never gave the enemy time to adapt. Each captain made decisions in seconds that would take a council committee hours to approve. The second Vex patrol lasted 45 seconds. The third lasted 20. By the end of the day, Lee Bin's small fleet had destroyed more enemy ships than the entire council force had managed in 6 months. Dr. Park Sol was busy on Earth, releasing files that the council had hidden for decades. Human engineers had invented faster-than-light communication, but the council had classified it as too dangerous. Human scientists had solved the energy crisis, but their solution was too advanced for human use. Now those files were spreading across human space like wildfire. Engineers read the designs and began building immediately. Scientists saw solutions they had been working toward for years, only to discover they had been solved already. On New Shanghai, the orbital shipyards began working around the clock. Human engineers took the hidden designs and improved them. Ships that had taken aliens years to build were rolling off human assembly lines in weeks. The council noticed the change quickly. Alien ships that patrolled human space reported strange new vessels. The humans were supposed to have slow, simple ships with basic weapons. Instead, they were seeing sleek warships that moved faster than anything in the council fleet. Impossible, the tech leader said when he saw the reports. Humans do not have that technology. Perhaps they stole it, suggested the more representative. From whom? These designs are completely new. Admiral Kim Do was testing one of the new ships when the council sent their message. It was an order to report to Nexus Prime for consultation about recent human activities. Kim Do deleted the message without reading it completely. Sir, his aide asked, shouldn't we respond? I am responding, Kim Do said, by ignoring them. Kim Do's new flagship was a masterpiece of human engineering. It was twice as fast as any council ship, with weapons that could punch through alien shields like they were made of paper. The ship's computer systems were beyond anything the galaxy had seen. But the real difference was not in the technology. It was in the crew. For 50 years, human military officers had been trained to wait for orders, to follow procedures, to get permission before acting. Now they were learning to think for themselves again, to trust their instincts, to fight like humans instead of trying to copy alien methods. Captain Yoon Ki was leading a raid deep into Vex space when he encountered his first Council enforcement fleet. 3 alien cruisers were heading toward human territory. probably to investigate the consultation that Admiral Kim Do had ignored. Human vessel, the lead council ship transmitted. You are operating outside your assigned patrol zone. Return to base immediately. Yoon Ki looked at his tactical display. The council ships were old and slow, built for intimidation rather than fighting. His single human cruiser could probably take all three. Negative, Council Command. We are pursuing enemy forces. There are no authorized operations in this sector. You will return to base or be considered in violation of Council military law. Yoon Ki smiled. Council military law? I'm not familiar with that concept. The lead council ship fired a warning shot across his bow. It was a mistake. Yoon Ki's return fire was not a warning. His ship's main guns tore through the council vessel's shields and hull in one massive blast. The alien ship split in half, its crew dying before they could even send a distress signal. The other two council ships tried to run. They were 50 years too late. Human space was changing rapidly now. The hidden factories were running at full capacity. The suppressed research was being implemented. Ships that had been designed decades ago were finally being built. But the biggest change was in the people themselves. Humans were remembering what they had forgotten during 50 years of council control. They were remembering how to be independent, how to be dangerous, how to be human. Dr. Park Sol watched the production reports with amazement. Human colonies that had struggled to build basic equipment were now producing advanced warships. Scientists who had been limited to safe research were solving problems that had puzzled the galaxy for centuries. It's like we were sleeping for 50 years, she told her assistant, and now we're finally waking up. Commander Han Wu received the reports from across human space. New ships, new weapons, new victories against enemies that had seemed unstoppable, but most importantly, new confidence. Humans were no longer asking the Council for permission. They were no longer waiting for alien approval. They were acting like the advanced species they had always been, hidden under layers of artificial restriction. The galaxy was about to discover what humans could really do. And the Council was about to learn why they had worked so hard to keep humanity chained. Because the chains were broken now. And 50 years of suppressed human potential was about to explode across the stars like a supernova of steel and fire and righteous fury. The age of human restraint was over. The age of human dominance was about to begin. The alarms on New Busan started screaming at dawn. Lieutenant Choi Na was drinking coffee in the colony command center when the first reports came in. Vex ships were dropping out of hyperspace above the planet, hundreds of them, their dark hulls blocking out the morning sun. Get me the council fleet, Choi Na ordered. Her hands moved quickly over the communication controls. Emergency assistance required at New Busan. We have massive Vex invasion force incoming. The reply came back in the calm voice that Choi Na had learned to hate. Human forces are to maintain defensive positions only. Council ships will handle the threat. Do not engage the enemy. Choi Na stared at the screen showing Vex ships entering the atmosphere. The insect-like aliens had come in force. Their ships looked like giant beetles with metal wings. Energy weapons were already firing down at the cities below. Sir, with respect, they're already shooting at civilians, Choi Na said into her communicator. Maintain defensive positions. Council forces are 20 minutes away. 20 minutes. Choi Na looked at the tactical display. In 20 minutes, half the colony would be dead. Admiral Kim Do was on his flagship 30 light-years away when he got the distress call from New Busan. He had faced this choice before: follow council orders and let humans die, or break the rules and save lives. Sir, his tactical officer said, we could reach New Busan in 15 minutes if we push the engines. Kim Do knew what that meant. If he moved his ships to help New Busan, he would be disobeying direct council orders. But if he followed orders, 200,000 human civilians would die. All ships. Set course for New Busan, maximum speed, sir. The council said, I know what they said. Kim Do's voice was ice cold. Move the fleet. On New Busan, Choi Na was running through burning streets. The evacuation was going badly. Vex fighters were hunting humans in the open. Their energy weapons cut through buildings like paper. Families were trapped in collapsed homes while the aliens circled overhead like vultures. Choi Na's brother Won was helping load injured civilians into transport ships. He was only 19, too young to be in a war zone. But New Busan was his home and he would not leave without his neighbors. Nah, we need to go. Juan shouted over the sound of explosions. The transport is full. A Vex fighter dove toward them, its weapons charging. Choi Na tackled her brother to the ground, just as energy beams tore through the space where they had been standing. The heat from the weapons burned the air around them. "Stay down," Choi Na whispered. Above them, the Vex ship was turning for another attack run. That was when she heard it, the sound of human engines. Admiral Kim Do's fleet had arrived. The human ships moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. They did not form careful lines like Council forces. They did not wait for orders or follow ancient battle formations. They came in fast and angry, their weapons already firing. The first Vex ship died before it knew humans were there. Kim Do's flagship put 3 torpedoes into its engine core. The explosion lit up the sky like a new sun. More Vex ships tried to turn and fight, but human ships were everywhere now. Captain Yoon Ki was leading a squadron of human fighters. His pilots had trained for years but never been allowed to fight real battles. Now they flew like demons, weaving between enemy ships and striking with deadly precision. "Target the command ship," Yoon Ki ordered. The massive Vex vessel was trying to escape to orbit. "Don't let it get away." Human fighters swarmed the command ship like angry bees. Their weapons were smaller than the big guns on battleships, but they found weak spots and exploited them. The Vex ship's shields failed under the constant attack. Then its weapons went offline. Finally, its engines exploded. In space above New Busan, Admiral Kim Do watched the battle with grim satisfaction. Human forces were destroying the Vex fleet ship by ship. The enemy had expected an easy target, defenseless colonists protected only by Council promises. Instead, they found human fury unleashed, but it was too late for many. Down on the planet, Choi Na was still running through the burning city. The transport ships were lifting off, carrying what survivors they could save. But too many were already dead. One was helping an old man reach the landing pad when the building above them came down. Vex bombs had weakened the structure, and now it collapsed in a shower of metal and concrete. Choi Na ran toward the rubble, screaming her brother's name. She found Juan buried under twisted steel beams. He was still alive, but barely. Blood was running from his mouth and his eyes were getting dim. "Nah," he whispered. "Did we save them?" "Yes," she lied. "We saved everyone." Juan smiled and closed his eyes. He died in his sister's arms while human ships fought in the sky above them. The battle ended 3 hours later. Every Vex ship was destroyed or fleeing, but 200,000 humans were dead, including Juan and thousands of other young people who had died protecting their families. Admiral Kim Do stood on his bridge, staring at the reports. His fleet had won a complete victory. Not one human ship was lost. The Vex force that had seemed so threatening was scattered wreckage now. But where had the Council been? "Sir," his communication officer said, "incoming message from Council Command." The alien voice was angry. "Admiral Kim Do, you were ordered to maintain defensive positions. You have violated Council military doctrine." 200,000 humans are dead," Kim Do replied. "Where were your ships?" "Council forces were delayed. Engine problems." Kim Do felt something break inside his chest. "Engine problems. Your actions will be reviewed. Return to your assigned sector immediately." Kim Do cut the communication. He called up the tactical records from the battle. Council ships had been close enough to help. They could have been at New Busan in 10 minutes. But they had waited. They had let humans die. Captain Yoon Ki was monitoring Council communications when he found the truth. The aliens had not been delayed by engine problems. They had been ordered to wait. The Council wanted to see how humans would handle a real threat without alien help. They had used New Busan as a test. They had let 200,000 people die to gather data on human military capabilities. When Admiral Kim Do heard this, he felt something he had never felt before. It was not anger. It was not rage. It was something deeper and more dangerous. It was the fury of a man who had trusted others with the lives of his people and been betrayed. All across human space, the news was spreading. The truth about New Busan. The truth about Council engine problems. The truth about what aliens thought human lives were worth. For 50 years, humans had been good soldiers. They had followed orders. They had trusted the Council to protect them. That trust was dead now, buried with Juan and 200,000 others in the ashes of New Busan. And in its place, something much more dangerous was being born. The Council's emergency session was chaos. Representatives from 12 species shouted at each other in the great chamber, while their empires crumbled around them. The Thek leader's gray skin had turned almost white with stress. The Moor representative's tentacles trembled with fear. The humans must be stopped, the Thek leader declared, his metallic voice cracking. They are corrupting the natural order of the galaxy. Natural order? The voice came from the kelp representative, whose aquatic form floated in a tank of water. You mean the order where you steal our technology and claim it as your own? The kelp have been influenced by human propaganda, the Moor representative said quickly. They cannot be trusted to think clearly. We think more clearly now than we have in centuries, the kelp replied. Clear enough to see through your lies. Outside the council chambers, the galaxy was indeed burning. But it was not the fire of destruction. It was the fire of liberation. Captain Choi Na stood on the bridge of her new dreadnought, watching as another world chose freedom over council rule. The planet below had been a Vex slave world for 50 years. Now the Vex were fleeing while the liberated population celebrated in their cities. Captain, her communication officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from the surface. They want to thank us. Put it on screen. A being that looked like a walking flower appeared on the display. Its petals were bright yellow with happiness. Human Captain, my people are free for the first time in 2 generations. How can we repay this gift? Join us, Choi Na said simply. Help us free others. That's payment enough. The flower being's petals brightened even more. It will be our honor. This scene was playing out across the galaxy. Humans were not conquering worlds. They were liberating them. And every liberated species became part of a growing alliance that stood against council oppression. Fleet Admiral Song, Han coordinated the largest military operation in galactic history from her command ship deep in space. Holographic displays showed human fleets moving toward targets across 3 spiral arms. Each fleet included ships from liberated species, their crews working alongside human officers. Status report, Song Han commanded. Operation Liberation is proceeding ahead of schedule, her tactical officer replied. 16 council strongholds are under attack simultaneously. Enemy resistance is lighter than expected? Because they never expected to face a real military force, Song Han said. The council has been fighting defenseless colonies and political prisoners for so long, they forgot what actual warfare looks like. The coordinated attacks were devastating. Human fleets, supported by ships from a dozen liberated species, struck council positions with precision and overwhelming force. Bases that had stood for centuries fell in hours. Fleets that had terrorized entire sectors were scattered like leaves, but the humans were careful to target only military installations. Civilian populations were protected, not punished. Surrendering forces were accepted, not destroyed. This was liberation, not revenge. Dr. Park Sol watched the tactical displays from Earth with amazement. We're not just winning battles, she told her research team. We're winning the moral war, too. What do you mean? Look at the intelligence reports. Council species are surrendering faster than we can accept them. Not because they're defeated, but because they want to join us. They see that we're offering something better than what the Council ever gave them. The intelligence reports were remarkable. Entire Council fleets were switching sides without firing a shot. Planets were declaring independence and requesting human protection. Even individual soldiers were abandoning their posts to join the liberation forces. Commander Han Wu received one such report while coordinating diplomatic efforts. A Thek general named Krex had taken his entire battle group and offered it to the human cause. Why? Han Wu asked during their meeting. The gray-skinned alien looked tired. Because in 50 years of service to the Council, I have only brought fear and oppression to innocent worlds. In 50 days of watching human forces, I have seen more justice than in my entire career. And your soldiers agree? My soldiers are tired of being tools of oppression. They want to be protectors instead of conquerors. Similar conversations were happening throughout the galaxy. The Council's own forces were abandoning them in massive numbers, not because they were losing battles, but because they had finally seen what righteous warfare looked like. Captain Li Bin was leading one of the deepest strikes into Council territory when he encountered the most surprising defection yet. An entire Moor fleet, complete with their command structure intact, transmitted a surrender offer. Human Captain, the Moor Admiral said, we offer our ships and crews to your cause. In exchange, we ask only that you help us liberate our homeworld from Council control. The Moor are a founding species of the Council, Li Bin replied. Why would you abandon your own government? Because it stopped being our government generations ago. The council serves only itself now. We serve our people, and our people deserve better. The liberation of Moor Prime became a symbol for the entire galaxy. Here was one of the council's founding species, freed by human forces and welcomed as equals in the new alliance. If the Moor could choose freedom over council authority, anyone could. Admiral Kim Do watched the reports with grim satisfaction. The council was collapsing faster than even the most optimistic human projections had predicted. But he knew the hardest battle was still ahead. Sir, his intelligence officer reported, the remaining council forces are concentrating around their core worlds. They're preparing for a final stand. How many ships? Maybe 1,000. But they're the best equipped vessels in their fleets, and they'll be fighting to preserve their entire way of life. Kim Do nodded. Signal Fleet Admiral Song Han. It's time for the final operation. The message went out across human space into every allied fleet. The Grand Alliance that had formed around human leadership was about to face its greatest test. 1,000 council ships crewed by beings who knew that defeat meant the end of everything they had believed in. But the Alliance was ready. Human ingenuity, combined with the diverse strengths of a dozen liberated species, had created a military force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships that fought with honor instead of fear, crews that believed in liberation instead of conquest, commanders who sought justice instead of domination. Captain Yoon Ki prepared his squadron for the final assault. His ships included humans, Moor, Kelp, and even reformed Thek who had chosen freedom over their old loyalties. It was exactly the kind of alliance that the Council had spent centuries preventing. All ships, Yoon Ki transmitted to his diverse fleet, remember why we fight. Not for conquest, but for liberation. Not for revenge, but for justice. Today we end the age of lies and begin the age of truth. Across the galaxy, similar messages were being sent. The greatest alliance in galactic history was preparing for the battle that would determine the future of civilization itself. The Council had spent centuries building their power through deception and control. Now they would discover what happened when that power faced the combined fury of every species they had oppressed. The galaxy was about to learn whether truth was truly stronger than lies, whether justice could overcome oppression, whether the dream of freedom was worth any price. The final battle was coming, and the entire galaxy held its breath.